Welcome back to Speak Greasy. My guest today is Dylan Eitharong, who's the founder, chef, cleaner, server, and resident at Bangkok's hottest supper club, Haawm. Welcome back to Bombay, and welcome to the show, Dylan.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. So let's start at the beginning. Born and brought up in Florida to a Thai dad and an American mom. And about, 5 years ago, you moved to Bangkok?
Yeah, it'll be 5 years in October. I remember I moved on Halloween of 2019. So I moved right before COVID. And yeah, it's been a very eventful, fast 5 years.
So what made you move halfway across the world?
I mean, the honest answer is I met a girl there, and yeah, it's a classic story. She wasn't even Thai. I was cooking Thai food anyways, so it was just, I wanted to kind of do that and like move. And then I just needed that last push, which is the classic push, I guess. And we were long broken up, but I'm still there.
Well, thank you to her.
Yeah, so it was originally, it was my aunt's house, and then she wanted to move out, and then my other aunts bought it to turn it into an Airbnb around the time that I wanted to move. So they said, okay, why don't you just like run cooking classes out of it? And I said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Airbnb just launched their like Airbnb experiences program. And I was like, I'll try that. And then, I got the house kind of set up for it. And then this thing emerged out of Wuhan. And then I was like, what is happening? And then, I had 0 guests by the time, like it all happened at the same time. Like when I was planning to have my first guest, we were starting, it was actually a family from China, I think. And yeah, and then they're like, we're canceling our booking. And I was like, well, why? And then it's all kind of just happened so fast.
So then what led to the supper club that it is today?
I didn't have a plan. I mean, so I had no job. And on top of that, like right when I moved, all my money got stolen from me. So I had like nothing. So I was just hanging out in this house every day, cooking because I had nothing else to do. Maybe not even a year in Thailand. I ended up taking like this consulting chef job at this place, and it kind of reminded me how much I liked cooking, like as a job again. So I was like, "Well, let's try this," and I just kind of did it for fun. Like I was sometimes doing online cooking classes just to stay busy, and like kind of do my own thing, and I put out some feelers, like maybe we can try the supper club thing like once or twice a month, right, and see what happens. And we tried it, and like I think by like the 3rd or 4th one, like we were starting to get all these messages being like, "Hey, can we come? Can we come?" And then I said, "Okay, I think I'm gonna quit my job and just do this." And
You're onto something.
Yeah, that's what I did. Exactly that.
Of course, you have a Thai background, but going back to Thailand and cooking Thai food is kind of like selling snow to the Eskimos.
Yeah.
Did that ever sort of cross your mind? Did you ever have any kind of imposter syndrome, or what made you confident about what you were doing? And tell us a little bit about your style of cooking as well.
It's really funny you asked that. I think when I was living in the U.S., I was like very concerned. I guess kind of this imposter syndrome, right? Because like, to be totally honest, in the U.S., when you're a half Thai person or like a Thai American or Asian American, I don't know how to say, you can kind of cook anything, right? And say, this is authentic, guys. Okay. And then people believe it, and it doesn't matter. I mean, and that's a terrible mindset to have, but I kind of knew that. And then when I moved to Thailand and I started cooking differently, I stopped questioning myself and my authenticity and like what was like real, I guess, because you start getting into like old Thai cooking and talking to people who cook, and like especially like older people, and you realize that like food is just, it's you're cooking with what's available and what you know, right? And it becomes a personal thing, and that's what's authentic, not so much like how
original it is.
Yeah, or like how maybe like I think the big thing you see outside of Thailand in Thai restaurants is people are just replicating dishes they may have had on a trip to Thailand or like had on the street, and that's what I was doing in the U.S. And now that I'm in Thailand, I'm like, I'm not going to do that because you can get that everywhere here. But I want to make dishes that, people in Thailand have had before, or maybe not had before, but these flavors are all still very Thai. Like this is, and there's no fusion thrown in there. I think the thing that gets confused with us a lot is because I'm Thai American, people think, and because I do things maybe people haven't seen before, people think that it's fusion, but it's not. It's just cooking, and it's just cooking in my own way. That's not the same thing as fusion, But I think if I describe my style of cooking, it's very Thai, but it's me. It's like it's kind of loud. It's a little obnoxious, probably a little annoying to some people. Like my girlfriend, but yeah, I think that's it. It's just it's authentic to me, and it's real. Like it's a super honest food.
That's interesting. Like your idea of what is authentic is what's true to you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it uses Thai flavors as a foundation in a way, but then you do what you do with it.
Yeah.
And it's your version of whatever. And I think that's interesting because, recently we had this big debate about biryani and whether you can have you ever had biryani?
I love biryani.
Okay. So, whether biryani can be vegetarian. And everyone's like, well, the authentic biryani is always made with meat. You can never have vegetarian biryani. And it's like that it spiraled into this crazy debate. But I think it just led back to like, what is authentic and how do you even know? It's years and generations of cooking and everything evolves, right? So it sounds a bit like you're doing your version of what tastes good to you, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Thai food is like it's so. You look at old recipes. I think the incident that occurred a lot for me that made me kind of feel that way was that you start looking at like really old recipes in Thai cooking and you see how something's done and you say I'm going to do it this way, and a lot of times what happens with Thai people, especially like Thai folks of a certain class, they'll have this dish, they know this dish and they're very familiar with it the one way they've had it. And they'll say, the response isn't, oh, this is interesting, I haven't had like this. The response is to tell me, as a Thai American, to say, Thai people don't cook it like this. And I say, well, that's not true because this is a Thai recipe from Thailand, from an old Thai cookbook that's older than you are. So and then you start seeing that more and more and you say, okay, so what people perceive as real and authentic is just something that it's an idea in their head. It's not necessarily a real thing. One of the, the most common street food dishes in Thailand is pad kapao, right? It's stir-fried basil with meat. And, as a street food dish, when you have it by itself, we pretty much like always have a fried egg on top, right? We had a pad kapao on the menu. It was a very old recipe for it. It had a bunch of Chinese spices in it. And we didn't put a fried egg on it because it's not a meal for you to eat at lunch. It's not a 30 baht meal. It's it's something a bit more refined than that, I think. And the girl, she's just so upset. She's like, Thai people, if it's pad kapao, you have to put a fried egg on top. And I said, that's just not true. You can if you want. And if you want to go out and, if you want to come here and pay this price, but also eat the same thing you're eating on the street for 30 baht, you can do that, maybe 60 baht.
Speaking of guests and kind of how they respond to and how open-minded or not they are. I know you get a mix of Thai people and foreigners. Do you see a sort of big difference in how they respond to you? And because I know you put up a post on Instagram, which is very up front and center on and it's great that, you're being honest about it. But for those who don't know, the post says that, this is your cooking and this is your version of authentic. And, people have to kind of respect that when they come. So what's kind of triggered this and, what's the kind of feedback you get, or is it different?
Well, if I had to be honest, I think because we opened during COVID, like we only had locals, right? And I think we got a lot. I made a lot of good friends during that time, but we also had a lot of guests that would like invite their friends, and they were friends of friends, so people started to hear about it, and it got a little tricky because we started getting guests who like, maybe like I've talked about, they had these certain ideas or they want like a fine dining restaurant because they hear about it and don't know anything about it. They don't know they're coming to someone's house. And so they'd show up with the attitude that they would have if they were in a fine dining restaurant, but you're still in someone's home, and that was a lot for a long time. So I think at some point I just had to make it very clear to everyone coming, like, I want everyone to have a good time, but they need to know what they're coming to, right? And to be honest, I think since then it's kind of evened out a bit, And And I'm always very excited. We're now, I'd say, 50% Thai guests, 50% like tourists and expats, and I'm always very excited when you have Thai guests. And a lot of Thai guests bring their families, and that's always nice when you get like older people, and they are actually, of the Thai guests that come, the ones who enjoy it the most are like the older people, like people who bring their grandmas and their moms, and they're like, this is really nice. And young people, people my age, they're actually the ones who are more set in their ways, because this is, Thai food as a food has evolved into something that's readily available. So I think they're used to having things a certain way because it was always readily available that way. Older generation, they actually cooked at home. Like they could do things. They could, experiment with food. It's kind of lost.
So they kind of respect when you're doing the same thing because they've done that. Whereas, that makes a lot of sense. What does it feel like when you're cooking for like older Thai people? Do you kind of ever get inputs from them or like, exchange recipes or ideas? And
I always listen a little, at least a bit. I'm a little bit less stubborn. But one of the things they always do is it always pretty much always brings up like this waterfall of thoughts for them, where they're like, oh, do you know this other old dish? Like maybe you've had it. I'm like, yeah, I know that one. Could you make that next time? And yeah, I could make that next time, or I could try that, or you should try to make this. That's kind of always, the conversation always goes that way, and it's fun.
So you actually live above the dining room, maybe, and do you ever feel like you might? How many seater restaurant is it? 18?
We can do 18. We try to stop it at 16.
16, yeah. Okay, so do you ever think you might want to graduate to a sort of formal? I believe the space is, I'm definitely going to come next time I'm in Bangkok, but it's in a space, we're in Magazine Street Kitchen, which is also a little bit in the middle of nowhere, and you were saying that that's a little bit like the location of Haawm, and so do you ever feel like you might move into like a more commercial sort of setup?
I've been dealing with that recently, trying to like figure out that, and I think I've pretty much settled on let's just make the current space a bit like more like set up, because I mean it's a house. Like I started Haawm with literally maybe like 60,000 baht, which is, I don't know.
What does Haawm mean by that?
Haawm is like it means like fragrance, like to smell good, to have fragrance. So if something has Haawm or it Haawms, like it smells good,
and it's also like
it sounds a little like home, kind of. But I started that with nothing. So I mean the decor and everything still kind of reflects that, and we've kind of upgraded a bit. So I think right now my thing is I want to upgrade the space and I want to make it nicer, because honestly the location hasn't had too much of an effect on like people coming out. People are still booking. So I think that's what I've decided on.
I think that's actually so true that, sometimes if you've got a great product, people will come.
I think it's part of the charm too. Like I think where it is.
That's what I convinced myself about this place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think where it is kind of is why people like are interested. It's like very hidden. Like, and you show up and it's like this little house like in the middle of this small village, and you're like, okay, this is cool. Yeah, I'm here, and it's got a vibe going.
It's like the reverse idea of location, which is what they've always said with restaurants, right? But it's almost like it's having it's like the more obscure it is, sometimes is what makes it attractive.
I think that's becoming
which adds to the mystery and the charm of the place. Yeah, I know there's sort of, it's a very polarizing view about whether a chef should be there in a chef-driven kind of concept. Do you think that a chef should be there if you're sort of charging top dollar and doing a tasting menu?
I think that the chef should be there as much as they possibly can be. I think, I think the purpose of having, like, for me, it's a bit different because my team's very small. We only do 16 seats. But if we were just a little bit bigger and we could have more guests and do some more products in bigger space, I think I would try to be there as much as I could. But I think to be away sometimes to do other things is okay. However, if it's like a repeated thing where you go and every time the chef's not there, or like I don't think that's okay. I think it's a bit weird, right? If the purpose of the restaurant is like to be a chef-driven restaurant, I think the chef should be there. And like the food is reflective of the chef, right? So I think I'm not going to put my name on something that I haven't touched, right? Like, and if I'm not doing a recipe myself and I'm just giving it to someone else, that's not my recipe. you know, and they're just doing it. It's not my food anymore. And Haawm is very much like about my food. And there's many restaurants in the world we can go and name, and the chef puts their name on it, their face on it, and they just don't touch the food. They don't know what it tastes like half the time, you know? And that's weird. Being a chef becomes less about cooking and more about being a celebrity, which is weird to me. I don't understand. There's much cooler things you could do to get famous.
You cooked with Chef David Thompson.
He's a friend.
Okay.
Yeah, a friend and mentor. No, I've never cooked with him. But when I moved to Thailand, we became friends kind of quick. And I really look up to him in his cooking. And he's been there for me a lot to bounce kind of recipe ideas off of and stuff. And I look up to him big time.
Any other sort of chefs, or tell us like restaurants in Bangkok that are some of your favorite, Thai, non-Thai, whatever, that you would recommend to, someone coming out there?
I would say, so Chef Prin and his White Mint have Sum Up for Thai, which I think is the world's best Thai restaurant. I've got it tattooed on me.
I was going to come to your tattoos, but is that so that if you forget?
I've got a Sum Up.
Okay, so there, what is it? Samru?
Samrup. So it's a play on words. Samrup means, it's like the shared format of eating in Thai food, and Samrup also means four. So you can say Samrup for Thai, or in Thai, Samrup Thai. But I think that's the so creative, and so, again, it's Prit is using old recipes mostly, but he's doing them through his brain, and it's just fantastic. It's intimate. I don't think they have more than 24 seats. I could be totally wrong, but it's small. Other than that, for fine dining, I really like what Chef Charlie is doing at Wanayuk, and he's also got 100 Mahasat and a few other not Thai places. But I think he's awesome. Wow, it's for Thai food,
or non-Thai, like non-Thai. What do you go out for when you?
What do I go out for? Okay, Italian at Appia. For fine dining, my friends have a place. There's actually an Indian place that I really like called Haawm. Of course. Yeah, it's fantastic. But I don't do like fine dining too much otherwise. So it's like I do Sum Up for Thai. It's like a religious experience every few months. And then I kind of just eat street food. There's a place called Khao Tom Jae Sui. It's been around for like 100 years in Chinatown. It's Thai Chinese. And if I was given one last night in Bangkok and one last meal, that's where I would go to eat. Yeah, it's fantastic.
What about the best sticky rice, mango sticky rice?
Best mango sticky rice. Well, I don't eat sweets, so I'm not really sure. But my girlfriend says on Saladang Soy 1, I want to say, or right off of there is the best mango sticky rice. She claims, and usually her opinions are right on food and other things.
I love the little caveat on food.
Yeah, other things too. But yeah, definitely on food.
I know you also, have a view on awards and our favorite subject.
Okay, well, yeah, Thailand's always been on the map for food, right? And Michelin came along. Can I say this? Yeah, Michelin came along a few years ago, and now suddenly we're trying to be on the map for fine dining food, right? So the only thing that says to me is that restaurants are opening for an award, and they're not opening for cooking anymore, right? And you see it a lot, and you can taste it in a lot of the restaurants that are opening. Of course, there's fantastic Michelin star restaurants. The ones I mentioned have Michelin stars, and they're very well deserving of it. And you have these very hardworking chefs who want to be there. They love their food. But then you also just have places, and you see they're following all the steps, all the rules they can get, so they can get a Michelin star, maybe be on World's 50 Best. So for me, yeah, I think that these awards ceremonies, and they've kind of like really messed with Thailand. They've kind of messed with the spirit of Thai food, because we had a food, as I was saying earlier, we have a food that is becoming less and less cooked at home. It was just something that's ready-made. And now it's going to go from something that's ready-made to something that is just available for a certain class of people. And then once again, that food isn't going to be carried on to the next generation, right? That's going to be just something you take a few photos of, and that's it. You're not going to go home and make a gel of tomka, espuma, whatever. And that's sad, right? So it's just for me, it's not carrying on Thai food. It's just putting it in another box to be like shipped away. And it's not.
But it's interesting because that's actually, I feel, happening here. That's something I've been saying as well, that like now, that's become the goal instead of what restaurants should be, which is about, staying true to your vision and putting that out for people every single day. But there are enough people out there who do stay true to what they want to do, and I guess that's what lasts as well for the long haul. But no, this has been great. But before I let you go, tell us a little bit about all your tattoos.
All of them.
Any more like restaurants or bars?
Well, I do have a rule that I'll get anything tattooed on me if someone pays for it. And the only person who has taken me up on that is Chef Andrew, who I brought here with me to cook. And it's this torch ginger flower. Which is one of my favorite.
We're gonna get you a tattoo in Bombay.
I don't know. You can
do space.
I have space everywhere. Yeah, I can't show you, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like space that we can see.
Yeah, I've never
we
my
spend
back.
our money on.
Yeah. No, I have a collection. I think ever since I moved to Thailand, I only started getting really dumb tattoos. This in Thai, if people ask me what it says Aham Thai, which means Thai food. It says Thailand on my knuckles, so I'm very like reference.
Is this all like if you get lost, you're like, take me to that restaurant, or like,
yeah,
you don't know where I'm from. It's like, oh my,
yeah, I can think people...
This is like that show Prison Break, where like he takes the whole map of the prison. I'm just kidding.
No, I think you're right. I don't know. I think if I could go back and like not have any tattoos,
what's their number?
Oh, this is 5555. So
is that lucky? And
no, it's just so in Thai instead of the word for 5 is ha. So instead of typing LOL, Thai people type 5555. It's very stupid. Yeah, I have a lot of those. See, as I said, no serious tattoos in many years.
But before you go, what's the Bombay experience been like for you? What brings you back?
Bombay is my favorite city. I mean, other than Bangkok, which has to be my favorite city, right? But I love the energy here. I mean, the first time I came here, I did not want to leave. And I was immediately like, I have to get back. Like, I love the energy here. The food is obviously incredible. And it's just like the people are so nice. Like the hospitality here is the best in the world.
Well, we experienced that. We went to Tucker Bhojanalaya, and they, I think, would not let you leave till you were pretty much passed out. So we saw that. And then I think, I know your favorite restaurant seems to be Baghdadi. You've been there only 5 times since you in the last 48 hours and live to tell the tale.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I do love it. I mean, the food here is fantastic. Baghdadi's, it's a class. I don't know. It just seems like a classic. I don't know. I'm not from here.
It's home away from
yeah. No, we used to have a restaurant in Bangkok that was my favorite restaurant, called Muslim Restaurant, and it looked.
Oh yeah, this was hilarious. It's called
Muslim, and it was around for 100 years, much like Baghdadi restaurant is. And they had actually some Thai versions of a few dishes that are on the menu of Baghdadi. So I think for me, when I saw that, I was like, that looks familiar. It had the same wooden benches, the same green wall, and I was like, yeah. Oh, and it's kind of stuck with me since.
So is the restaurant still there?
No, so it was bought by the government, and they raised the rent. So the cooks actually opened down the street, and they have a little street food stall, and they're doing a lot of the same recipes. The original owner is gone; he's left, but the food's just as good, and very, very tasty.
Well, we're gonna get all those names from you and put them for the listeners to actually go check out, and and we'll also let them know which tattoo we get you.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for being on the show. That was fun, and can't wait to come out to Haawm.
Yes, please. Thank you.